Welcome to Rebel and Lexi Reacts, and as you can tell, our camera is on top of our computer. I'm trying out a little something different because we are with our Halloween headgear on because tomorrow is Halloween, and I'm hoping to get this on our channel tomorrow. So happy Halloween from myself and Lexi. What we're wanting to do is something I've been wanting to do, and we're doing it last minute, but it is Bravo's 100 Scariest Movie Moments. And this is something that Bravo did, and we always liked it. There's several different ones out there that people have done, and this is actually my favorite. We will not be doing all 100 Scariest Movie Moments because obviously we haven't saw all of the 100 Scariest Movie Moment movies, but we have saw a good deal of these. So we're going to cut the ones out that we don't know anything about, and we're going to leave the ones in that we saw or that we have a critique about. So this is pretty much commentary on the 100 Scariest Movie Moments, and it's going to probably get to a screen where it says 50, but it is 100. And when we get done, I'm not sure how many it's going to be, but this is basically Lexi and myself's opinions on those 100 Scariest Movie Moments that Bravo had done. And I don't know if Bravo still does that or not because we don't have Bravo anymore. However, I watch this every year on YouTube, and it is one of our favorites to watch. So sit with us and enjoy the 100 Scariest Movie Moments.
I witnessed a sort of a weird...
And yeah, he's the one that directed it, John Landis, of all things.
When I was there on Kelly's Heroes, I was a flunky.
He wrote American Werewolf when he was 19 years old, and the script didn't change much from that time until when he finally made it after having the success of Animal House and the Blues Brothers.
The reason they were burying him feet first, by the way, standing up deep in this thing, was so that his body wouldn't get up and cause trouble. And the guy, Sasha, the interpreter who talked to them and then talked to me, he thought it was very funny. They were
So obviously we're talking about American Werewolf in London, and then I think there's an American Werewolf. Where's that other one?
I haven't seen that one.
I hadn't either, but what was it called? American Werewolf.
That's what I mean. I hadn't seen it. I don't
There's
know.
another one that was made, but anyway, the American Werewolf in London is actually a decent horror movie.
It's a decent
for
movie.
sure.
A lot of it was not necessary in the movie. I did think the transformation was actually funny.
I mean, it was crazy. I mean, you saw the whole transformation, and just exactly what I would think is if somebody were transforming into a something else besides themselves.
It'd be painful.
It would be painful.
I mean, your whole exoskeleton is changing into a completely different form. That would be painful.
I think it would be too. It was really a good movie though. His friend gets killed and comes back and just sort of kind of, keeps telling him, hey, you're gonna have to kill yourself.
It's such a comedy.
It really was. I thought it was really sort of kind of more of something like that, and then it's got its sad part in it as well.
Yeah,
but it's a good movie. I mean, it really is. It is worth a watch.
stupid peasants.
Definitely.
And that's where I got the idea. I said, it is very funny, but what would Sasha and I do if the body got up?
And one of my favorite parts of the movie are the undead friends.
Yeah, they're funny.
Griffin Dunn keeps showing up, getting
so
worse
sarcastic
and
he
worse.
is.
His face has been half ripped off.
And he's more and more rotted every time he shows up.
Deteriorated each time he comes back. And those moments are actually really creepy, and they're memorable, and they're well written.
I was trying to take something totally unreal and make it realistic. So, for instance, my guy turns into a wolf.
We've seen plenty of werewolves with lap dissolves and add some hair and a nose and the like. But to shoot a transformation in full hard light,
yes,
not in the shadows, not trying to hide any of the seams or anything, but showing everything right there.
And they show the whole thing, and it's just so creepy. And I think that he was hurting so much.
Yeah, I think it'd be painful.
It looks so painful.
And the claws are growing out of your hands. Your hands is actually morphing and stretching, and some shrinking, and your face is growing outwards. It's just, it would be so painful. And the cheesy music at the back.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be painful.
It really would be. And he's like screaming the whole time this is going you know, that he's going through this.
Stretching and growing and shrinking. It's just that's painful, and it's quick. It's not slow.
It's really funny too.
That's actually what makes it more painful.
So John Landis.
It was films like that that just kept inspiring you and you wanted to try to do makeup effects as good as that. You were never going to be able to, of course, but it was pushing the boundaries and it was exciting. Next day,
One of
What's
the greatest movies I think I've seen. It's
shopping mall.
classic.
Yeah.
Turn that into like, you know.
I love this. I like this one as much as I like Night of the Living Dead, the original.
See, those are both really good. They're just simple.
Forever. There's food, there's clothing, there's whatever you need.
Exactly. And if we ever do have a zombie apocalypse, I think this is the best idea. Go live at the mall.
Go live at the mall. That's where everything is.
Exactly.
There's weapons there. There's clothes there. There's food places there with food stocks. I mean,
yeah, this is the best place to go. And I really did like this. And I think the makeup artist, I can't even think of his name right now. He did the makeup for this too. Tom Savini. Good movie, like it. Laugh. No, it's not scary. You laugh.
I laugh at this movie.
Coming to the mall. They're like, well, it's just something left over from their past. They just can't, when they were alive, they just came here to get everything. So they just keep coming back.
Seeing the zombies in
Which
color.
I think is a really weird
I don't know if
idea.
it made them scarier, but it certainly
But I did love this
made them
movie.
bloodier.
I would cringe, and it was very early in the movie when they find a very small room and there's zombies feeding on a corpse. And there's just a moment where a zombie kind of rips flesh.
Tom and I would hang out.
Tom Savini.
We have to shoot at night in order to get into the mall. And, I'd say, well, we need some new grisly way to kill somebody.
The caster's head would fill it up with, corn cobs and rubbers filled with blood and cheese dip, anything on the craft service table, I took a double-barrel shotgun and blew it off.
A lot of great gags in that movie, and one of the ones that I always love as a favorite is the zombie coming towards them under the blades of the helicopter.
When the zombie walks too close to the helicopter and gets the top of his head cut off, I mean, come on.
You see, if you look at her, she's the one that's in Madman and Creepshow.
I didn't get a good look at her.
I knew something was going to happen when I saw his square Frankenstein head.
They're not smart.
Aliens,
It does
love
have a lot
aliens.
of the mystery of the first one, but it's also an action movie.
And I have to stop right here because she knows that this is like my most loved, liked. I'm a huge fan of the Aliens, except the last one. I didn't like.
I didn't like the last one myself. The first and second one, amazing.
First, second, and third one for me. I love them all.
Third one's okay, but the last one was definitely
I'm
good.
such a fan of this movie that when me and my husband got our first dog together, her name was Ripley. This first time I saw it, I was hooked. And I was actually dating my husband at the time. He let me borrow them, and that's how I got started. And then when they came out with the fourth one, and they had a good idea, and they went really, really off the rails with it. And I said, no, I can't really do this one. But 1, 2, and 3 for me, absolutely love this movie. Not a horror movie. Definitely science fiction.
Definitely science fiction and action. Definitely.
Yeah, love it. I could watch this and never get tired of it.
But I can think that the isolation being somewhere else in another place with no one around, that actually would be a little terrifying, especially with aliens. You don't really know how they work.
Mm-hmm.
Sigourney
And this one's out to kill you.
That's a heroine that we can look up to.
When the character.
See, that's why I loved Ripley. She was a strong female, but she wasn't perfect. I loved her.
And this one is the second one,
versus big
I believe.
Yes, because she had the little girl was in it.
Right. The first one is Alien, then you have Aliens, and then you have Alien 3.
when
So-
he had the idea, and he said,
And let's not even talk about Alien 4.
Put a couple
Yeah,
of
we're not talking about
guys
Alien
in
4. I mean,
suit and carry
Alien 3 wasn't
crane,
really a favorite of mine. It was
and,
okay.
their arms.
At
and
least the
forearms
fight
of
scene was
creature
good.
and
There were
legs
some
and
goods.
the
There were
outside
also
looking
some
in,
really
but,
not goods.
Lost your mind.
And the original Alien, having one alien was terrifying.
Yes, it was just the
but
one.
you could get away from it. There
Yes.
were ways you could get away. The alien wasn't everywhere. And in the sequel...
See, I like how they tied in with the sequel Aliens was multiple aliens.
More than one.
I like how they tied that in with the name.
Just a new one, the Queen Alien. We allowed these characters to become more alive by allowing them to do more than they did in the original movie.
This movie just took me totally by surprise. I think it was a big leap forward.
I walked up to one of those
tubes,
And he was Bishop. I loved
In the
Bishop.
second one, I loved him. He was, honestly, I loved his character so
In
much.
the original movie, laid on a face and tightened its tail around a neck. The facehuggers in this movie carried an entire scene.
One of the scariest moments is when Ripley and Newt are caught in that room where they were locked in the room with the one face hugger. Again, very much like the scenes with the raptors from Jurassic Park being caught in the kitchen. It's a sense that you're in an enclosed area. You can't get away.
Yeah. Because they were actually trapped in that room.
I actually disagree with that being the scariest
It's not the
movie
scariest
moment
thing.
with that one. To me, the moment that was so shocking and scary is when they know all these aliens are coming towards where they are,
That freaked me out.
but they can't figure out, they've put up this perimeter and they've made all these fixes and to sort of kind of barricade themselves in there, and they're going past the barricades because they're seeing it on their devices and stuff, and when they go up into the ceiling to look, and they're all coming, and then they comes, he went falling down with this gun and everything, and they were coming through this, and that actually should have been the scariest movie moment for this
That
one.
and also the little girl being down in the water beneath the floor, and the alien coming out from the water was so slick and clean, but it was so silent.
And
That's
that was very scary too, as far as science fiction movies go.
I mean, this one would have freaked me out too, but those two scenes would have been, that should have been it.
Exactly.
But I get where they're coming from. You're in an enclosed area and you can't get away from it, but you can't kill it either because it spews acid.
Yep. Blood for acid. No, acid for blood.
Acid for blood.
Acid for blood, not blood for acid.
See, and they're so creepy and disgusting looking. I don't like it. And, oh no, Pet
This
Cemetery.
one-
This also makes me sad. It was one time I watched it, never again.
How far
Yes.
would you go to have that loved one back?
So this goes into that category as well.
This is,
It's
I'm
so
in
sad.
total agreement with Lexi on this one. Another Stephen King book made
what his
into a
movie do
movie, and it really is
Disturbing. So sad.
So disturbing. It is so sad. It just pulls on your heartstrings. It's just one bad occurrence after another. This family lives on this road. It's a very busy road because I think it was like transfer trucks or something traveled on it a lot, and their cat gets killed. Winston Churchill. And the neighbor tells them about this pet cemetery, so they bury the cat in the pet cemetery, and it comes back. And then the son, the little boy, he ends up getting killed. So they sort of kind of think, well, maybe we can do this because they're so heartbroken. I mean, it's just devastation after devastation after devastation. It really is. It was a good movie. It was a good book. But it's also one of those that you can maybe watch it one time and you just really don't want to watch it again because it's so
I think
sad.
there's like a good handful of movies I could not watch ever again. They're too sad.
Just sad. And this is one of
To
those.
write this story, which I thought was so awful.
It
and
is
so
awful.
personal and so painful to write in so many ways that the idea that it would ever become a book, let alone a movie, never even crossed my mind.
This cat gets hit by a truck.
And it actually did.
Father takes it, buries the cat comes back.
The small monster in a dream or in your imagination usually represents something that's repressed inside of you.
The son is now killed, which is tragic, but the father thinks, cat comes back. Let's do it with the son.
The body as a temple
She's so
is an
funny.
ideal. The body is actually meat. It's animated meat. But Pet Cemetery kind of shows that. Body without soul is not life.
It's like a zombie, basically, in a
Buries
way.
the sun, and the sun comes back.
But the sun,
Same sun.
yeah, it's not the same sun.
That Mary Lambert, a woman.
That's what happens
directed
when
that
you
cemetery,
die.
And that a woman could be that dark and that sick.
I can't imagine it being any harder edged than it is now.
And I'm thinking, if I remember correctly, the dad is a doctor, and the guy that he keeps seeing had been one of his patients that had gotten shot. And I can't even watch this. This absolutely. Woo,
Oh no, I can't do it. I can't.
not gonna look. Yeah, I can't do it. I cannot do it.
And the cat too is just. Look at the eyes.
And then there's Gage. Yeah,
Listen, it's not him.
No.
The kid was excellent for how young he was.
That was the one that the MPAA went after, but certainly not as bad as a chainsaw coming through the roof of the car and slicing out somebody's head or something.
It's the kid under the bed. The fact that he still looks like a kid, but we understand that he isn't a kid anymore.
He's not.
And then it's that one unprotected spot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And takes you down easy too. Friday the 13th.
When you hear that.
Love this movie. I love the first 4, I'll say. The rest of them I can't do.
Yeah, they start to get really far fetched. I mean, really, it's like cheesier, cheesiest, and then they just keep going.
And the deaths are far fetched, and then they put too much sex in it, like you're watching a porn.
Yeah, we can, let us know that you're going to kill these young kids because they're being promiscuous or whatever, but you don't really have to give us a lot of details with it. I don't need to see it to understand that it happened.
Like I said, just give us a slight shot, and then boom, go to another scene. I know exactly what's happening. I know exactly what happened.
But the movies are good. I mean, like the first one obviously is not Jason. He was a victim before the movie. And then you've got the mother who's actually the killer.
And taking vengeance on the camp because they were responsible for him even dying in the first place.
Right. She feels like they're responsible camp counselor. So she is coming back and she is paying them back for the death of her son. Then when you go from 2 on...
Then it's Jason.
Avenging
his mother in a way.
Exactly. And I think they just really did. They got cheesier and cheesier because obviously he never dies, but some of them were really out there. I don't even remember which one it was, but the guy ended up biting the heart of Jason after he had been torn in a bunch of pieces or blown up by bombs.
That was... there's just too many of them that's so far-fetched and so ridiculous. I'm like, the first 2 are the best. But I like the 3rd and the 4th one as well because those are pretty good.
Yeah.
But onward...
Yeah.
Don't even worry about it. You're not missing nothing.
Yeah, don't waste your time. First one though, yeah, it's bank. The first one is good, and we have them all, and we watch them, but not all.
I watch them continuously. They're so good. I love horror. Horror's an addiction.
Going to be seen. And in the meantime, I think this children's film that I've been working on, that's going to be the one that's going to put us over the top. I had no idea that Friday the 13th was ever going to be anything more than a potboiler.
When Friday the 13th came out in the summer of 1980, Halloween had set the stage.
And this was the first horror movie I ever saw, and this got me started on horror movies.
But it wasn't bloody.
I saw it as a teenager. I led a sheltered life. This got me started. Honestly, I'm not lying about that.
What's great about Friday the 13th, the first one, is that Jason's not the killer.
After all,
it's his mother.
Of a mom who loved her son so
the famous joke and scream. Who was the killer in Friday the 13th? Jason! No, it was Mrs. Voorhees.
The mother.
Message. And the best way to treat teens and sex is just with pure carnage.
Yeah.
There's a drop of blood.
I don't mind that either.
Recognize that above the 2 lovers is a dead body dripping down.
That's actually, the thing is I've never watched these sex scenes. My parents, of course, didn't want me to watch them at a young age. But I went past it one day because I was kind of like, where did the other guy go to earlier in the movie? Because I never saw it. And then I saw it at the very middle of it. And I was like, oh my God, there he is. Haventon and Buffalo.
Yep.
That freaked me out. I was like, imagine.
I fell for the ending of the
Imagine.
Friday the 13th as a kid. I remember saying to Sean, we should do something like Carrie. Well, what can we do? I mean, Jason, he died a long time ago. I says, well, if it's a dream.
The film
is over and it's peaceful and we're in the lake.
You know, the music's played, and so you think that, okay, you know, all these people have died, but they're safe. The police are up on the hill.
Oh, it's gonna be all nice.
Yeah, that's the jump scare. It's so nice and calm.
And I was actually gotten by my friend's dad who did that. They had obviously already saw it. And I'm sitting there, it's about to go off. And as soon as Jason comes out of the water, he nails me. Ah! I did, I screamed.
Yeah.
My mother went up in the air, 25 feet, screamed, I swear to God. And I heard the guys in the back, like, you know, Paramount, Warner Brothers, whoever it was with Sean and everything. I said, Mom, I think you just sold the movie.
The scream came out of nowhere. The audience just screamed.
You gotta love when your parents sell your movie.
Jason. So then we watched it and forgot all about that. And then we all screamed, you know, so it was quite the moment.
Blair Witch is one of those good ones, but the thing that I have a problem with is the motion of it is so rapid. It makes me feel dizzy.
Before it was even out.
Yeah, and see, when we went and saw this at the movies, actually, my husband was very motion sick from it because, you know, they do put you in the position of
the camera,
like you're filming this or whatever. And I mean, it was really good. It was very successful. It made way more money than they ever thought it was going to make. But the rapid movements and the sudden movements of the camera did. She got a terrible headache and was motion sick from it.
I actually fell backwards how dizzy I was. And I was like, I have to lay here for a second because it was making my head, it pound from how awful it felt.
But it was a really good movie.
It was good.
Way they had done it, there was not a lot of money put into it. It was very a new take on a horror movie and a horror movie idea. We actually vote that the second one is actually good, even though it's not the same.
It's a derivative of it, but it's really good.
Yeah.
They both are.
So, but this one is good, and if you can handle the motion of the camera,
you'll probably like it.
Then you would like it. You will see why it made all that money. I mean, people were definitely addicted to this because you didn't really know if it was a true story or not. You know, it looked like a documentary. It really did.
Is this really a record of the last moments of their life?
They brought up a great way to torture us before we entered the movie theater.
Before the Blair Witch Project, I always felt very comfortable and very happy. Oh, nature, you know. And after that, for like 2 months, I would hear like the rustling of a tree, and it would send a shiver up my spine.
Nobody had done anything like it before, and it was just weird and crazy.
Why would anyway if I was in the woods because there's predators out there, and then there's stuff even in the woods we already know.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm one of those that's thinking Jason might be out there for real.
Come from behind, or something.
I'll just be thinking there's like a wolf wanting to eat me.
That made that movie so much scarier than just the average like 2-3 cameras, and you saw everything.
Or you don't know if this is a serial killer trying to hide a body. I mean, you don't know.
Exactly.
You really don't.
We never saw the boogeyman in that movie. We never saw the witch. We only saw what was happening.
Hearing their friends.
Yeah, you only saw what was happening. That was the more scary part. I mean, that's one thing I've told my parents. It's more the fact that it's more terrifying of things you can't see versus what you can.
Exactly.
Because you kind of, it's like your mind goes in a million directions. What could it be? And you make it scarier in your mind.
And it used such simple techniques like child's handprints on the wall. And they said right before she kills you, she sends you in the corner.
That's a creepy idea. It really is. Now, a lot of games I've seen before have taken that from this movie, where a character will be standing in the corner with their back facing you. But it's creepy, though. I'm sorry, but instead of screaming, I'm running. I'm running the other way.
And
that happens to
my
you.
buddy who's
Yeah.
like 6'2", 220 is like this.
It's amazing what you can do on like such a low budget movie. Just yelps and shadows and screams.
The film was shot for about $40,000, and the film went on to gross domestically $140 million. This is the most profitable motion picture in the history of film.
Frankenstein, another one of the classics I love.
Hypnotically.
Oh, yeah.
I felt more bad for Frankenstein than anything, though.
And I think really most people would feel bad for him because, you know, he was basically a zombie in a way. I mean,
and he didn't understand things.
No, he was made from different pieces of corpses, and this crazy doctor brought him to life. He was basically a zombie, childlike thing. Obviously, he wasn't going around killing everybody and eating brains and stuff.
He just didn't understand how things
Yeah,
worked.
he didn't understand. He didn't know, and it was really more of a sad movie, but a really good movie.
I can't see it a lot because of how sad it is, but it's still one of those I'll watch.
Yeah.
It's so good.
If we're gonna watch a horror movie or a scary movie,
It's
or
usually
something,
werewolf or a creature from Black Lagoon.
Don't break our hearts. Don't make us sad in it. You know, go ahead and kill the people and do your carnage or whatever. Don't make us feel sympathy for the bad guy and or for the monster. And that's how, you know, people feel about Frankenstein. They sympathize with him. And you see all these people coming with their torches and their pitchforks and stuff, and you feel bad for him.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know, you know. He didn't ask to be created. He
was like a child. He really
exactly.
was.
With the success of Dracula, Universal really felt that it had, found the new Lon Chaney in the person of Bela Lugosi, and were eager to, exploit his talents in other frightening pictures. And it was announced that he was going to play the monster in Frankenstein.
And it's a good thing they
Lugosi was
did.
very offended that he would be playing this lumbering, stupid creature that didn't speak, and his face was all covered in makeup.
James
Karloff.
Whale spotted Boris Karloff in the
Yes,
Universal
he did good.
Pictures commissary one day.
He did his part well.
Mary Shelley's novel and James Whale's film both answer the fundamental horror question, where do monsters come from?
Now when I see some of those scenes, I just think, oh my God, audiences in 31 must have been having a heart attack.
Oh, yes.
I can imagine.
It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. The creation of the monster.
He's psychotic.
Is the
He
creation
was. He really was. He was just like very
First time he's standing
psychotic.
He was a mentally deranged. He was a mentally deranged man.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable. You know, I still can't believe how effective that makeup is and how Karloff is.
The design of the makeup is so extraordinary, and Karloff's performance is genuinely brilliant.
It is.
Mm-hmm. It's really good.
Really scary. I mean, there are moments when the monster looks,
It's not even scary. I feel so sad for
But then there are moments like when he reaches toward the light that are beautiful.
The thing with Karloff was he had those eyes. He had those dead eyes.
He just wants to make friends. He makes friends with a little girl and accidentally kills her.
Yeah, it was an
Girl picking
accident. He
flowers,
didn't know any better.
and Frankenstein just kind of shows up, and it's this very sweet scene because they're, kind of plucking flowers together, and then he doesn't understand when they've run out of flowers that, the difference between human life and flowers, and so he takes her and throws her in the water.
No, you're hurting me! No!
Carl Laemmle Sr., the head of Universal, was particularly upset by this scene and wanted it cut. The cutting actually made it worse.
They immediately cut to him throwing daisies into the water, to the father carrying the lifeless body of the girl, which just makes the monster look more vicious.
Exactly. 7.
One of my tops besides Sixth Sense. One of my favorites.
It's such a good movie.
I mean, that.
Yes, thank you for explaining that to us. I have to wait till it gets somewhere. And he was the guy that did that part. Seriously.
Yeah, he did it
Sequences in
great.
7 are art directed within an inch of their lives. They actually owe a great deal to the Italian.
Now, this is an excellent movie. Lexi loves this movie. It really is. And the movie is based on a killer who is killing people based on the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah, he feels like he's doing almost like God a favor by killing.
They're doing God's work.
Yeah, God's work by killing them based on their sins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get where he's coming from, but I mean, everybody sins, and if you think about it, if you're killing people based on sins, then you'd be killing the entire world.
Yeah,
because there's
exactly.
no person in the world that hasn't sinned once.
Right. So he's definitely carrying judgment out himself on these people, and to say that Morgan Freeman, awesome actor.
He's an awesome actor. I love him.
Did fantastically in this, and Brad Pitt did great as well.
Yeah,
but
I think they both did really great as like a partnership.
But Morgan Freeman, I think, really carried this, and Kevin Spacey was the most excellent psychopath.
I think he sounded so intelligent, like a psychopath, like he really did.
Yeah, it really was, and the way that he killed these people
is
so much thought was put into how these people were killed based on their sin.
See, and you have to think about it if you were to come across a case like this, if you're one that works in this type of business. This took time to think about. It wasn't just an angry thought. No, you had some issues with this person, and you took time to do it.
These were planned. These were thought of way in advance. These were meticulously thought about. So this was not like a crime of passion. This was not you getting angry and you suddenly take someone's life. No, he planned these out, and the way he killed these people was crazy.
And he even fed them bones along the way, like he wanted to be caught.
He wanted to, yeah.
The way
that was part of his plan.
Shot it, and how dark it was, and the camera
it was just a great movie. I loved it. How it's almost like Silence of the Lambs. It's one of those like investigation, but so good.
It's coming apart. He was very, very inventive in his different ways that he killed people, and they all gave you the chills.
They built it up with the 7 sins, and you were just knowing, okay, this one just happened, so it's got to be soft or it's got to be hate.
They just talked about what the victims were going through, and they showed pictures, and the reactions of the victims being interviewed after it happens to them is just insane.
Yeah, when you think about it, people have to do this in reality and talk to victims, and it's probably awful.
Pick his head up and it just fell in the bowl of spaghetti.
The details in the murders and the details in the killings were absolutely
horrific,
gruesome.
They find a guy.
Yes.
In a apartment, and they walk in, and it's a low angle again, up and it's smoky, and there's.
I can imagine that man changed his entire life after he got out of that room.
He would not have served. He would not. He would be in an institution.
No, but I think if he was to even get better, he probably changed his life.
Well, he couldn't have, because the thing is his brain was soup. Basically, he had already chewed his own tongue off, so there was no bringing him back. He was going to require 24/7
medical care
for the rest of his life. I mean, he was gone.
Looks like a corpse.
But even if anybody did survive that, they'd probably change their lives completely.
I got a hair sample, I got a stool sample, I got piss, I got fingernails. He's laughing at us. You got what you deserved.
I feel like that about a lot of people sometimes. I probably shouldn't, but that's honestly, if I was a 7 deadly sin, mine'd be wrath. I'm just telling you point blank. I'm a tyrant.
Your imagination.
You're not a tyrant.
Which I think is the key to a great scary movie.
Phantasm, that is one of the...
Okay, you saw that one. I've not saw this one, and if you want to pause wherever you want to pause, I'll let her explain this one. Her and her dad saw it. I have not, so this is not my thing.
I've seen the first and second one, but I would say the first one is more my favorite.
Fresh corpse they needed to bring in, and the bomber had a donut.
I don't understand the movie, and maybe it's because I hadn't saw it, but I have no want.
I mean, it's more like with Willy Wonka. It's almost like an acid trip. I mean, because you think about it, it looks like a normal man, a normal freaky man that's like extremely tall and apparently excessively strong because he picks up a whole coffin with a person in it by himself and stuffs it into the car. Dang. So you know he's not human in a way. But he's like a phantom as well because he haunts your nightmares and he feeds on your fear. But he also has these minions with him that also gets you to where his lair is, which is basically where he has many dead bodies.
Is that like a mortuary?
Yeah, like a mortuary. Mausoleum, definitely. Because he has it there, and he definitely likes to play games. But the thing is it really sets the mood with how stealthy he is, and then with the nightmares, and then he suddenly just haunts this little boy, and his big brother is having to help him out. But I mean, it's a really good movie, especially for an old movie. That man was so creepy. That how tall and how strong he was. I don't really like him.
Isn't that what they referred to him as? Was the tall man?
The tall man, yeah.
And the only reason I know that's because I've watched it on this.
And he definitely haunted people around the cemetery the most, because there were several scenes where he would kill people, and it's because they were in the cemetery at night.
Jeez, why would anybody be in the cemetery?
Doing things they're not supposed to.
Right.
You already know, promiscuous
Sort of looks
teens.
just like the neighborhood in that movie, and the house I grew up in was about half a block from a cemetery.
And we already know how it feels to be next to a cemetery. We've lived next to a cemetery.
I grew up, and there was a church across the street from where I grew up, and beside it was a cemetery. Huge cemetery. I used to play in it, so those things don't bother me.
Yeah, cemetery don't really bother me.
Great boogeyman in horror films.
Yeah, he's like a human-looking boogeyman.
Some graveyards, and
I guess it was him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
One of the scenes in Phantasm that scared me the most was when that kid's in bed and he has a nightmare sequence and he looks up and he sees the tall man, and the tall man's looking right over him.
It's more like a phantom. They haunt your nightmares, your dreams. And he definitely wanted to terrorize this kid, because he saw what he did. He saw him get rid of people. He saw his minions, so he knew that there was a target. He knew too much. Because he already felt that man was odd. And it's just minions.
I do think that turned out to be one of the most.
They're like little midgets. They're creepy.
Then I go to bed and I sit there and you keep opening your eyes and you can't close your eyes because you keep thinking the next time you open them, the tall man's going to be there, and you have to kind of get out of bed just looking at the floor, hoping that if he's there, that like he doesn't notice.
Oh, The Ring.
Innocent thing,
I love
which
this movie.
you would never imagine could be twisted into some horrific moment.
Exactly. And it's been a long time since I saw that.
It's definitely more of a modern version of a horror movie. Definitely, especially when it comes to watching a tape and traveling through people and then watching it. And it's like the TV's against you.
Yeah, we'll say, what is it? So you watch this movie or this tape, and in 7 days you're supposed to die.
7 days you're supposed to die unless you give it to someone else and have them watch it.
Yeah, and it really was. I mean, when I first saw it, yeah, it was a good movie. I haven't seen it in quite a lot of years. And then, let's look, there's a second one.
I hadn't seen the second one. I only seen the first one. Because I like first ones, Stephanie.
Yeah, first ones are usually good. But yeah, the whole premise is you watch this videotape, and in 7 days you're going to die, and you do die. So the thing is, I know that the video has a girl in it, and I don't think anybody knows who the girl is. And the mother, her little boy ends up seeing it or something. So she realizes she's going to have to stop what's going on, because otherwise her little child is going to die in like 7 days. So they end up going and finding this body of this girl. I mean, it's this whole finding this and trying to...
They went investigating to figure out the girl, because they've actually seen pieces of the land she lived on in the film, and they went to the place and picked her body up. But the thing is, she wasn't really a good person.
They were trying to free her, though, where I guess they thought if they freed her, then that would end all that. But yeah, no, they find out otherwise. She was, like Lexi said, not a good person.
She was not a good kid. She was apparently born evil, and her mother knew that, and that's why her mother murdered her. So The Ring.
These filmmakers have figured out a way.
And the reason why it's The Ring is because when she was found, she was in a well.
She was in a well.
And if you actually think about it, when you put the top on the well, it looks like a ring.
If you're looking from the inside out.
Because it just seems like it could happen to you.
You know, one of the things that
it really could.
Deal with your fear,
Curses exist.
Because you're containing your fear in the experience of watching a film, and then once the film is over, you go home. The Ring actually suggests that the act of watching can kill you, right? You watch this videotape and know it's not going to be okay. A week later, you're going to be killed in some way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scariest scene in The Ring. I hate even thinking about it, is when the little girl comes out of the well.
When you see things that you've never seen before,
that was almost like a grudge scene.
Can't help but be impressed, and if they're well shot and they come as a complete surprise, it gives the film a real potency.
Nothing like an anemic, pasty girl to scare you again.
Yeah.
It was just the shot of this decrepit-looking girl, and there's nothing scarier than a decrepit-looking 8-year-old.
Great makeup job on her face, and there was Rick Baker. Brilliant, simple but
Very
totally
simple and effective.
And
I love
just
simple
way
but
it's shot
effective.
and the way that she's walking, and it's
And
just
coming out of the
really
TV, no less.
Coming out of the TV was
To kill you.
great.
First
Yes.
of all, you think the movie is over and you've had a somewhat happy
Especially when you hear her squishing on the floor, how wet she
She
is.
says, you know, oh, it's all okay. We let her go. We did it. And the kid goes, no, you shouldn't have let her go. She's terrible. She's evil.
All the images have been contained. I mean, they're on the tape, they're contained on the TV screen.
So the person's not sure if they're still looking at TV or is this thing really coming until pow!
Literally.
And I guess when they freed her is when she could actually start to come through the TV at that point, because she had been set free.
Yeah, that was perfect. I love when she came out of the TV. It's so creepy, but it's so well done.
Oh yeah.
How she walked too.
Well, you heard him say Rick Baker did it, so
I loved her movements.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
This moment again where reality is gone.
She breaks the third wall and crawls through the TV screen.
Literally.
It's so scary.
Totally gotta stop this here. Hellraiser. Okay.
That is one of my
Yes.
favorites.
I don't like all of them.
First two
only. First two had the best Cenobites. After that, the Cenobites really went off on the rails. I am a huge fan of Pinhead, and I'm not going to try to, I don't even think anybody can see that far over. But over on, let's see, over on this side, I don't even know if y'all can see that, to the, is that the right or the left of us? That's our right, isn't it? Yeah, that away on my wall, I actually do have the autographs of all of the Cenobites, and I got it off eBay years ago before my daughter was ever born. And so she's actually a fan of it too. There is some really, really terrible things in these movies. They're really gory.
They're so gross.
But I like them. Okay. The first two. Okay, and she's saying the first two are the only decent ones.
Because I tried the third one time and it was not happening. I couldn't even get through the first half of it.
They're just not there. I do like Clive Barker. It was Clive Barker, yeah. But number 1 and number 2 are the best ones, and
I love Pinhead, but I can tell you my favorite Cenobite is Chatterer. I love Chatterer. He's so precious to me.
He's really cool. And when you see the second one, which actually didn't make this list, this just the first one did, but if you get a chance to watch them in order, first one, then second one, the second one, in that movie it will show you who the Cenobites used to be before they became Cenobites.
And I cannot, like, my jaw actually dropped when I saw the Chatterer was a kid.
Okay, and you really just gave it away. I was gonna tell you, don't give that away.
I just said that.
Yeah, I know you just said that. So she just really busts that bubble for y'all. But when you see who these people were beforehand, which is really interesting, so I was glad we got to see that. But
we actually saw who Pinhead was first thing, and I thought, I mean, you actually could see that that's who he was, because you could tell by his head structure and his eyes.
Right, but you didn't actually see who he was before until the beginning of the second one. So yeah, these are really good, and these are really disturbing.
They're just really gory. They're so bloody and gross, especially the second one with her being just a corpse and walking around all bloody
without the skin and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's really interesting because where he's sort of kind of gone with this was sort of kind of like the sadomasochism side of it has sort of kind of been inbred or input into these characters and stuff, and including the Cenobites, and you'll see that in there, and he actually does sort of kind of mention that. So
and the creatures in it was just
that's really.
And really, I didn't like the first one with the absorbing. That almost sounds like really, really disgusting to me. What is the second? No, it's the first one because it was the uncle.
Yeah,
it's so gross.
But as you can tell with this is where a lot, especially with the torture devices and things like this, where the sadomasochism comes in, and let Clive Barker explain that.
Especially when one's name is Deep Throat.
I mean, he brought S&M to
the girl is
truly the first film that brought a kind of sadomasochistic pain.
S&M, buddy. What's wrong with that?
Pleasure and pain. Everyone has a subjective idea of what that is.
Evil is fun. Torture is love, murder is affection, is all these things reversed. And what could be scarier than that?
His
visuals in his films are just so creepy and
They're
so
gross.
unsettling.
I went to my local library to find a book on film directing. And they had two, but they were both checked out. And I thought, oh, I'm so I don't even have a book.
One of my most favorite things about a good scary movie is if they have good monsters. And the Cenobites are good monsters.
They were good and very original.
The worst of the Cenobites for my character Kirsty because he was the leader.
He's just creepy, man, and the chains whipping around.
And seeing how he became Pinhead is awful. Like, that feels painful almost. The
audience
nails
doesn't
being
know what
nailed
to
with your
expect
head.
as they're opening this Pandora's box. You don't know what experience is going to happen.
You really don't.
And that's Chatterer, who we're talking about.
I love him. I think the Deep Throat was really mean. She just wanted her dead.
I don't think she just didn't like women or what. What was the chunky one's name again?
Wasn't he like Fluffy?
No, wasn't he like Butter or something?
Butterball.
Butterball, that's Butterball.
He was funny too.
You opened it. We came.
I love him. I love Pinhead.
Clive Barker's a freak.
I mean, everybody in that film seemed to me to be in some kind of sublime pain. And there was equal parts S&M, Heronium Mosh. I mean, the film really, truly entered my subconscious.
Pinhead who doesn't do a decent, nice thing through 8 movies. But somehow or other still manages to get fan mail for women who would like to bear his children.
Exactly. Nightmare on Elm Street. The only good one.
The only
first
good
one. Yeah, Johnny Depp.
Very first movie, I think it was.
Yeah, I'm thinking this was probably one of his first movies. This was the better one. This was the dark one. This was the one that really, I think, got to people. This is the one that actually was scary to me to think that this guy could get you in your dreams. And the way Robert Englund did his part, he really looked like somebody who had been burned, and the way he carried himself and acting it was really scary.
It was disturbing.
For me.
It was disturbing to me the first time I saw it, because I actually, I will admit that the first 2 nights after watching it, I didn't want to sleep, but I was like, oh, he wouldn't do that. He's just a character. And then I got over it. But the thing is, you don't know if something would be able to get in your dreams and kill you like this.
And I'm thinking, too, that when they came up with this movie, there had been some kind of a news, not a news story, but like a newspaper story or a story in a magazine or something where there had been some teenagers who were terrified to go to sleep at night. And I think that's where this sort of kind of derived from. But this is the best one. This is, to me, the darkest one, and the one that would be really more scary. I think it would be the most scary.
It's just the rest of them, they were more like filled with corny jokes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really scary. And his makeup got cheesier, and it didn't
really
even look like he was burned. He almost looked like Swiss cheese.
He looked like he had on a rubber mask.
Yeah.
It's like they got lazy as they went, and like she said, it's just everything was just one-liners and corny jokes, and it really didn't have the mood of a horror movie. It was more of a comedy. Yeah, it's like all of them were comedies after that. First one only
was the best.
Yes.
For 3 years, I had sent that script around to the whole town of Hollywood, and everybody thought it was either stupid or boring or just gory or whatever. I knew it was going to be strong.
Wes Craven had come across a few articles about some teenagers who were absolutely terrified to go to sleep.
Middle of the night, they heard these horrendous screams and crashing, and they ran in, and he's thrashing on his bed, and ran to him. By the time they got to him, he was dead. They did an autopsy on him, and there was nothing physically wrong with him.
Yeah.
And I just thought, my God.
Wes described
I've already
how he
told you what my theory was on that one.
the audience about when the moment of reality ceased to exist and when they were actually into the dream, and how this was his goal. And that's what really intrigued me.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
3, 4, better lock your door.
Every time you hear that in any of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, you know something bad is about to happen.
Yeah, that's typically when it sets the mood. Like a madman. Literally, you hear the music, you already know something's coming.
It's coming.
Those nails, the claws.
I don't like those. The screeching on the walls.
What is that?
The idea that he's a child murderer and that she's going to avenge this terrible crime that he's committed against her own family, that's a direction that I always had inside of me.
Because he's a dream figure, he can basically do anything. He can transform himself into anything, into a phone, into any kind of creature. And so that's what makes him so powerful, because how do you resist sleep? How do you resist dreaming? He's everywhere.
Everything was a little bit jerry-rigged on our set, just because we didn't have a lot of money.
For my money, it's the revolving room scene where Tina just gets her brains bashed out on the set.
That really was, I mean, that was good.
That's actually the one scene in that movie that scared me. That one scene.
For how she was up in that scene, because the guys
It freaked me out the first time I watched
it. Just worked really strongly.
He just drags her all around.
Yeah, I mean, the room revolved in order for them to do that.
Everywhere, and she's just screaming, and it's just so painful. And they don't cut it; you just watch all of it.
Yeah, this one scene freaked me out.
Oh yeah, and think about when I saw it originally. This originally did scare me when I saw it.
This is the only thing that got me in this whole movie besides Johnny Depp's death. This one,
where his bed vomited the blood.
Yeah.
This part was, scary. And this was a dark movie. The atmosphere was completely dark.
Completely dark, and that's what set the mood entirely.
Yes.
But Freddy really has personality.
He does have personality. Listen to the first one. Only the first one.
This house is still known as the house that Freddy built.
Freddy really has that universal appeal where he will.
See, that also freaked me out. I actually was afraid to sit on my bed a couple times. I was like, nah, it's just a movie. I get over it.
What they loved best about Freddy, which was this cruel sort of.
See, he looked like he was burned. I love it.
Have been a family of tremendous wealth.
Yeah, this is a good movie, and for most Christians,
this would be a movie that would terrify them.
This would actually scare you because as Christians, they all believe in the end of the world and coming, and the Antichrist coming and taking over and
destroying
and what he's going to do to everyone in the world, not just in one country. And this was sort of a movie based on that idea, because they are supposed to have the son of Satan. Okay.
And not in the same way as Rosemary's Baby. It's in a very different form.
It is, because he's something big in the government, and I can't remember what it is right off the bat, but his wife is pregnant, and her child dies in birth, and the way they explain it to the father in the hospital is, well, we've got a woman who just died in childbirth, and she had a son, and we would just we'll just go ahead and we'll act like this is your child and nobody will have to know. Well, obviously that's not the way it went, but they end up with the Antichrist as their son. The first one and second one are awesome. The third one is a good movie. It's just not one of my favorites.
It doesn't have the same tone and the same mood as the first two. The first two was excellent.
And I think the reason maybe that they were good is because, I don't know, I think they were just a little bit more believable, especially with the kid that played it in there. I mean, in the third one, he's grown up, and I think they didn't really know visually where to go with it.
I mean, 'cause you think about it, the first one, it's realistic, and really think about it, the kid probably doesn't understand it yet because he's a kid. Then the second one, he realizes who he is.
Yeah,
and that's a great realization, and it's really realistic. I just don't know how. I myself didn't know how they were going to do a third one.
Right. The third one is the thing is it's way most of us believe that are Christians. Like I say, is we feel like we believe in this actually, not exactly the way the movies are, but that we do believe that the Antichrist is coming and actually is already living in the world. So these are stories sort of kind of based around that, and you can be flexible with those. However, with the third one, I think they didn't really have anywhere to go with it for when Jesus actually returns after the tribulation and everything. So that's probably why the third one I don't feel like was as
strong as the other two.
Exactly. The first two are good. The third one is okay, but there was just some things I just don't think they knew where to go with those. But definitely, if you're a Christian, these movies scare you.
And power.
The perfect marriage.
And I can tell you, everyone was afraid of Damien. Named Damien. If there was a boy they ran across named Damien, they'd be so terrified if they watched this movie.
And
And it's
like she says,
would your mother
never knew Damien.
I was 5 years old.
Especially after the movie.
Yes.
Something terrible.
But I mean, if you actually look at the name Damien, it's actually a good meaning to it. But I think because it's close to demon, that's why they used it.
I think so, but I think too, the only other person that we've read of that had the name Damien, he said actually there had been a, was it not a prophet, but I don't remember, it was something in the church, and his name was Father Damien.
Oh yeah, he was well, I guess he'd be some type of a priest somewhat, but I think he's more of a mental.
Yeah, something,
doctor.
I don't know, but that's the only other time I've ever heard the name Damien
In a movie.
besides this movie
And The Exorcist.
here. Yeah, and The Exorcist. and then that was a priest, no less, but yeah.
But I mean, if you actually look at baby name meanings, Damien actually has a really good meaning behind it. But I can tell you, nobody wanted to name their son Damien after this, unless you were one of those that knew the true meaning of it. And it's like, that don't bother me.
Exactly.
The baby is the son of Satan.
You're looking at the devil incarnate. You're like, he's the devil, and he's on earth.
You put a little kid in a scary little suit.
Scary little
you're
suit.
halfway home. You know, that's scary. Kids in suits are scary.
I love them too.
Look at me, Damien.
This is freaky, this part.
It's all for you.
Jumps out
And
the
in
window
front of
like
kids,
hangs
no less.
himself. Going, okay, this is just too creepy.
The photographs all have these strange flaws.
And how the animals reacted to him violently. The animals knew they were not wanting to mess with him, but they also wanted to kill him too, so
They
he's a
just cut
threat.
the guy's head off. And I'm watching it like spin around in slow motion as it cuts his head off. I went, oh, they really pushed it.
There are those who will die
He
for
looked
him.
mean as a kid.
There are those who will kill for him.
It's at night, and you've built up this knowledge, this awareness that the nanny who's moved into this family's house is an apostle of the devil.
Oh, this is my favorite scene in the entire movie. Is the nanny.
Close-up of her
She'd
face.
go to the hospital to kill the mother. I mean, they were just going to leave town.
She was still technically a threat. I mean, she was afraid of her son was questioning, so.
She looked evil in it.
Yeah.
She really
The
was
music set the mood.
very fitting.
I love it. My favorite scene in the entire movie was that scene right there.
Just that last shot.
That girl had an awful
Which
life.
is,
At the very end.
Damien staring straight at camera and close up and smiling.
And the smile, yeah.
And the music, and he's so cute. But I mean, who can name their kid Damien after that?
Halloween. We've already reacted to it,
Every
but
time I try to stop this in a good place. Yeah.
You know, I mean, actually taking.
anyway,
Halloween and the concept
this is one of the classics horror movies. You always have to watch it on Halloween. One of our favorites, and the originals are always our favorites. So the remakes don't really surpass this.
Well, we do have this one actually on our channel right now too. I've had to cut it a good bit, but it is on there, and it is a must around the Halloween season. So obviously John Carpenter, great director, and I think he was actually asked to come up with some kind of something, and this is what he came up with, I believe is what he had said. So yeah, the shadow,
The Shape.
The Shape, yeah,
A very original idea.
Michael Myers.
Boogeyman.
And the thing is how quiet he is, and the only thing we hear is breathing. That's the freaky part about it.
My job was to make a movie about babysitters in the Midwest being stalked by a killer, and you set it on Halloween. That's it. That's what Irwin Yablans wanted. That's
Yeah,
the kind of
that's-
exploitation
And they had to come
horror
up
movie
with
he
it.
wanted.
That's how they give it
The
to
rest
you
was me
actually
that I
when
was
you're
trying
a
to make
movie
something out
director
of it. There was
or a
something so
creator.
simple
They're
about
like,
Mike Myers.
they'll give you this tiny idea and you have to broaden it.
Great. A person
They did good with it.
He did amazing with it.
He's been in an asylum his whole life, and he broke out on Halloween night.
My production designer, Tommy Lee Wallace, we didn't have any money on this film, so he went up to a magic shop on Hollywood Boulevard and bought back 2 masks. One was a clown mask, and he brought back a William Shatner Star Trek mask.
There was such a blank face that the audience could project anything they wanted on it.
As I said, I owe my entire career to William Shatner.
Carpenter, yeah, he's a real one-man band of a filmmaker, and very importantly, composed that really distinctive piano.
Original music
was about to
too.
kill someone, all of a sudden you'd hear dun, dun, dun.
Yep.
The music's actually as scary as the movie is.
And he came up with the movie.
It was Deborah Hill's idea to cast Jamie Lee Curtis. I had wanted another actress, and she turned us down. Everybody turned us down for this film. Nobody wanted to be in it. She told me that her screams were like her orgasms. That's what she said. I think she's just trying to be nice to an old guy.
It's the least explicit of all those movies. I mean, after that come Friday the 13th, of course, and Tom Savini.
This movie sprouted a lot of other horror movies.
It really did.
Based in its honor. It's really
The
good.
biggest screams in Halloween come after she's killed him in the closet.
I want you to go down the street to the Mackenzie's house.
Well,
I want you
killed,
to tell them to call the
quote, unquote.
police and tell them to send them over here. Now, do you understand me?
She was a good babysitter.
Is focused on Jamie
Very
Lee
strong
Curtis.
for the kids.
Nice close up. You can see that she's tired, but there's a little relief coming.
Exactly. And she's got her back to the darn killer. He's already tried to kill her twice.
And killed her friends.
And they say, no, no.
Oh, no. You know. Oh, God, she just put a hanger in his eye.
Scream.
It was fantastic.
One of the good ones.
It was the most scary thing.
It was definitely more of a modern version of horror movie, especially when they put ties into older horror movies like Friday the 13th.
One of those crises where I got to do a normal film, and so in this opening where the girl is gutted and everything else, I said, I just can't do it again. And then I was doing an appearance someplace, and some little kid came up to me, you know, I love Last House on the Left. You should do something that really kicks ass again.
Oh my gosh.
God, I must be getting soft. And I literally called up Bob Weinstein and said, you know, okay, let's do it.
When Scream first came out, I thought, well, is the horror film dead?
So Scream is a horror movie based off horror movies.
Based off horror movies, like literally.
Yeah, which was really a
Unique
good idea. Yeah, new, unique,
And more
hadn't been
modern.
done. Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like the thing with The Ring. You watching the TV and it kills you. So basically, watching horror movies is related to that. It's like
and they're going
really
through the movie the whole time talking about things you do and don't do in
horror movies, and they still do them.
And they're doing them. But yeah, it's a good movie. It's the only Scream that I like. I don't like any of the others. I think you like some of the others.
The second one is good. Some of the other ones got a little slack, I guess you'd say. They almost got lazy. But the first one was definitely the best one.
So yeah, this one was actually a really good one. And like I say, a scary movie based off scary movies, or the idea of scary movies. So very unique idea, very different. Nobody else has done it. So, and it was a good idea.
Now, once
This
we make a film,
movie was a success for real.
The kids are very savvy about, you know, what kinds of rules do you have to follow to not.
And they're literally doing them as you're saying, you know.
About the horror film audience.
I was a huge fan and read the script and thought this is so different than most of them. It kind of made it was like a little bit of a spoof, but it was still really scary.
I had never seen a script that was quite like this. It was a horror film, but it was and a slasher film, but it was also a murder mystery, and then it was also a soap opera. So I thought, wow, it's got these three weird elements woven together. This is going to be good. What Bob Weinstein was able to do was first say, I'm going to put real money into this film, and I'm going to get really known actors and actresses.
I wanted to play Gail Weathers because she was just a real bitchy character, and I thought it would be really fun to play something that wasn't, you know, I was on Friends, and I played this nice girl, Monica, but Gail was just so ruthless.
At the beginning of that film, Craven delivers an absolutely...
I mean, the beginning of the movie...
The beginning was really good.
Yeah, I mean, they just jumped right into it immediately.
Pure Wes Craven.
Immediately.
It was almost a shock.
Really strong horror film. You need
How quick it went into
almost immediately, and you don't need to hit them as hard ever again in the film until the ending. And that opening, I knew if I was able to pull it off, would do it.
This is how you do a terrorized teenager gets killed.
Sure. Who A, is speaking from a cell phone, which had not been done in a film before, and B, is smart.
It just set the tone of the entire movie.
What's your name?
Why?
Because I want to know who I'm looking at.
That is gives me the chills just to think. I mean, just to think you're in a house and there's all these windows around you and you don't, and someone is watching you.
And then everything about you.
Answer the question, and I will.
The classic stalker, but more advanced.
Exactly.
And what door am I at?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Doors to your house, the front door and the patio doors. If you answer correctly.
Letter opener. Just like you said when you bought it the other day. It could be a weapon.
It could be a weapon. They're very sharp.
It better be sharp.
Well, you can also get a sharpener too. Sharpener.
You have Drew Barrymore, we feel like we're safe, and boom, she's dead in like a heartbeat, and all of a sudden it's a free-for-all. It's anyone can go at that point.
Oh yeah, it's like a Walking Dead series.
It's hard to see it as scary anymore. The first time you ever see the caped figure in the mask with the black cloak, it is scary.
Oh, and
Misery. Oh, Jesus, this movie.
Fear that artists have that if they've gotten a success in a certain area, that if they change or grow or do something different, that their fans will leave them, and the feeling that their fans will hate them.
I've had some experience with fans that are clearly a little bit loose in their shoes. They don't have their elevators don't go all the way to the top.
Famous writer.
Oh my gosh.
That's gotta be.
Comes down from the mountains.
Not it.
He has. He wrecks his car in a snowstorm. Kathy Bates comes and rescues him from the.
This movie was honestly one of those. Now, it's one of those I could watch again, but it's still highly disturbing to me. It really is highly disturbing.
If you think about it, I mean, really, okay. It's like they're saying this number one's a Stephen King book. It was a really good book. I was actually reading the book before I ever found out the movie was even coming out. And he is an author. He's a best-selling author. He goes to this place always to write his books and stuff. And on the way, after he finishes the book, he has a wreck. And she is a super fan. And she's sort of kind of following him, and she's thinking, I don't understand why he's leaving this really bad, snowstorm is coming up, and she saves his life. And what would be a greater thing is to be a super fan of somebody
and you saving
to save their life. Can you imagine how indebted he would probably be? Only she went,
way beyond the rails.
She did. She was the kind of super fan that I think nobody really wants.
It's more of the psychotic side.
Yes. And she finds out that he has killed off the main character of the books that she loves, the Misery novels. And so I guess that sort of kind of
set her off,
makes him be on her bad side after that. So it's a really good movie. Kathy Bates did awesome in this. So definitely one to watch.
She's so beefy, she carries him back.
I mean, I love reading books, and if my favorite character dies in a book, I'm just gonna cry over it. But I'm not gonna go to the author and say, "You're an awful human being."
Doing this movie, and every day he would come to work.
I mean, it was like that, and I probably have to go for Isayama when it comes to Attack on Titan, the anime.
I want you to be in bed.
Most of that film takes place in a bedroom.
Yep.
So like Hitchcock's Rear Window, to keep the tension alive in a movie like that takes a lot of technique and craft.
It really
The scariest
does.
thing about it is just that idea, because I have some nutty fans.
Everybody.
I'm a little worried,
Love can turn into a really sort of perverted thing.
She's like, oh, did you write that book, Misery? Because I love that book, Misery.
She was so frightening. What made it frightening was the fact that she was so sweet. You could feel like she likes to bake cookies.
The movie doesn't work without her, without somebody that could, play that character.
She did an amazing job playing that role.
She was to die for. She was so good. She just inhabited that part.
I personally don't get scared at the Freddys and the Jasons, the whole thing. Because I know it's made up. I know that. But when it's a real person.
A real person is terrifying.
Actually could harm you. That to me cuts deeper than anything else.
She's got the log, or whatever she's got, that thing, and she kind of puts it in between his feet, and you're like, okay, well, what's she doing there?
It was the ultimate moment for her to make sure that he...
Yeah, and actually this has to be said in the book, and I kept telling Lexi this before. In the book, she actually did not break his ankle. She actually cut his feet off. And I can sort of understand why they changed that, but that is not how it went in the book. And I was actually a little disappointed when I saw the movie. It was like, dang, she didn't cut his feet off, but that's me.
And either way, it still would have been disturbing to watch.
Oh, yeah.
There, and he knows what's going to happen, and his eyes just get bigger and bigger and bigger.
I
mean, that's just like, okay, it really went south after that.
Yeah, it immediately went south.
Oh, yeah.
Annie, whatever you think I'm not doing, please don't do it.
And she was a nurse, so she knew how to take care of a patient.
Annie, for God.
Well, she was an ex-nurse.
Darling, trust me.
God's sake.
It's for the best.
Annie, please.
Oh!
Awful.
Everybody went, and squirmed and moved, and it became this very mobile moment.
She put that block between his thing, and then she just.
That's awful.
You're like, no, and then his foot goes.
Like the feet is what gets me, like with the Achilles being cut or your ankle being broken by something like that. Or like you stepping on a nail.
Scheinman, I think, came up with the idea of putting the block of wood between his feet so that when she hit his ankle would just, go whang like a swinging door.
After that movie, I didn't walk for 6 weeks.
Okay.
The Living Dead here in Pittsburgh. Threw it in the trunk of the car.
Night of the Living Dead.
Threw it in the trunk of
Exactly.
the car.
One of the best movies. And it's a classic and it's black and white and it's so simple. And then they didn't really have to do much with it, honestly.
They really didn't. And the way I got started with this one is because of MTV. I used to watch MTV just like every waking moment that I wasn't working or in school, I would watch MTV all the time. I mean, that was a big thing back in the 80s. And on Halloween, they would always do Night of the Living Dead, and that's sort of kind of how I got started liking that one. And it really was sort of scary. I mean, it was a black and white movie, and I lived across the street from a cemetery at the time. Well, not this catty corner to the cemetery, and I was younger. I just worked a little as a high school job and all that stuff. But yeah, it was scary, but it was good. I just really, really hated the end of it because I mean, you've got this person who's made it all the way throughout the movie. And then, it just doesn't end the way you wanted it
Yeah,
to.
I hated the ending of it. I did.
Yeah, it was, it really, I was just like, when it ended, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you just did that.
We heard that.
Yeah, you did that to me. That hurt my heart.
Car radio, that Martin Luther King had been shot.
As a young black theater person, it was refreshing to see a film that had what I thought was one of the few African-American leads.
To have a black hero on film was something that was not common at all during this time.
I wanted it to be more about revolution, a revolutionary society, literally, in this case, devouring the old.
Completely outrageous.
Devouring the old.
Half nude and eating human flesh and everything else. And then at the end you realize, my God, this guy has made a political statement.
That whole image of what we as society do to ourselves in order to sustain ourselves at the expense of our
Well, technically, I mean, you think about it, where would this virus come from that kills people and makes them zombies?
Rise up from
people would create it.
We never thought that it was going to.
Something would go wrong, and it would just
Basically,
be
all
error.
the people who were zombies were friends of theirs or people who lived locally. They had a friend who was a butcher who just donated all these kinds of pieces of meat for the, body-eating scenes. And it was made with no money at all. And yet, it became a huge cult success.
In a different state, and I had to ride 2 hours home on my bicycle at like 2 o'clock in the morning all by myself.
Oh my gosh, that would be crazy. 2 hours on a bicycle?
Driving, you're in a car, the car starts at the end of the day.
That's the first time that I was scared. I was really scared by a movie.
Just the absolute relentlessness that no matter where you turned, there was something or someone that would get you and kill you.
There's a sense of claustrophobia in that film that's unbelievable.
It could be a kid, it could be your grandmother, it could be your parents, it could be your wife, your boyfriend.
The monster is
Could be
the
anybody.
neighbors, and to me, the scariest thing in the world is the neighbors.
Man, that was like, you'd have never seen anything like that.
We were trying to push the envelope a little bit and not cut away when the zombies, started to eat people. We wanted to stay with it.
Which I think is crazy is when you look at him, for him to be a rich, old Hollywood man, he was so dirty. How many zombies do you guys know that pick up something and stab you? I mean, before they eat you.
That's one thing I didn't like about this, is it wasn't as realistic. Because you think about it, they're mindless. Yeah. They wouldn't have the knowledge to pick up a pickaxe or a weapon to kill you with it.
No, because they're going to just take a chunk out of you, basically.
I
mean, the only thing that their mind is able to do is have the sensation of eating. They want to eat.
And it's high. And as long as you scare the shit out of people.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Carrie, I love this movie. I feel so bad for Carrie.
And obviously another a movie based off another Stephen King book.
Becomes, and for kids like Carrie, it's really like the ninth circle of hell.
Yeah.
The girl no one likes.
Yeah, I mean, that was really, you felt bad for Carrie.
It's so sad.
You really did. And it really, I guess, was a way, like Stephen King said, it's a way for the kid that was maybe made fun of or wasn't in with all the cliques,
Was
the
disliked.
weird kid and was disliked, just sort of kind of get back at those. But Carrie had the power of telekinesis. So she really could get back at them.
She really could get back at them without even moving a finger.
Exactly. And who don't want to get back at the bullies from school?
Honestly,
I mean,
understandable. Especially from anybody, including me, having been bullied. You would want to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And to do it the way Carrie did it.
Oh, honey, that'd be so satisfying.
I don't know if I want to burn my school down, but...
Well, no, because not everybody is bad.
It wouldn't it be fantastic to give them powers that would allow them to get back at the kids who torment them.
The girl with the strange power.
If I concentrate hard enough, I can move things.
It does start out as your typical teen movie.
Just this incredible portrait of a teenage girl.
It really touches a part in you that feels ostracized. It was such a great film, and she was so vulnerable. And I mean, everything from her first period in the shower, it was so painful.
It really was.
She went through.
That's awful.
Hey, Norma, she wants a tampon.
And everyone.
They could have just been nice and helped her.
All those cruel girls. And let me tell you, girls can be cruel.
Girls are really cruel. If anybody tells you girls are the nicer ones, don't believe them. But men and women are both as bad.
Things I've seen on screen.
But girls can be really cruel.
Whack job.
All the biblical references.
And that was bad. She had hell at school and she had hell at home. Literally.
Woman see the sin of her days and ways. That really, really scared me in that film.
It's basically the Cinderella story as done by Stephen King, isn't it? Going to
The messed up Cinderella story.
What happens? She doesn't lose her glass slipper, but she just goes, berserk.
Oh gosh.
And that would be awful.
Yes.
And then you look at her eyes and you realize something really bad is about to happen.
Carrie lets the bitches have it.
She did.
You know, Amy Irving, Susan Snell.
She's walking down a street. She's in a pretty dress. Everything seems very calm.
He asked the actress to walk backwards, and he filmed it in reverse, so it looks like she's walking forwards. But it creates this very dreamlike, very slow, very kind of unnatural pacing.
She goes to the grave and she puts flowers down on the grave.
I bet she wondered why she had to walk backwards. But then when you actually put the effect in, then it actually does like a...
See, that's the thing is, the only backwards thing I've seen going on is when Carrie was walking back home from the prom and that girl tried to run her over with the car. That was backwards. I didn't see that part as being backwards.
Huge African-American men, 250-pounders at least. They're screaming like children. They're grabbing each other around the neck. And one of them says to the other, that's it. She ain't never going to be right. And I looked at my wife and I said, this movie's going to be huge.
Silence of the Lambs.
Great
I
movie.
love it.
That swept the Oscars and swept over.
I love these detective movies that are suspenseful and it's like a puzzle in your mind.
And this one was really good. And, I think, this one, I'm thinking it won several Oscars or something. It was really good. It made you think, and it sort of kind of kept... Horror movie, no. Thriller, yes.
Murder
very
mystery.
much so. Yeah, it was good. It was such a
And
good
I
movie.
love the camera work in this because whenever the characters would talk, it's like they were speaking to you because they were looking directly at the camera, like they were talking to you. I love that effect. It definitely messed with your mind.
Scary ass killer. Insane and totally terrifying. But isn't.
He was scary, but not like horror movie scary.
He's creepy.
Exactly.
Very mental.
The skin together of all the women that he's murdered. That
the character of Hannibal Lecter, who was just so appealing to the public. He's just the most kind of sophisticated individual you can imagine. Who manages to kind of manipulate people around him and spectators into actually forgetting the fact that he's a cannibal.
if you met him at a party, you would want him to like you.
There's always the,
You
the
would want to
joke
murder
that he
you.
likes to eat
Exactly.
his victims with Chianti and, and fava beans.
Hannibal Lecter is, if anything, operatic.
He's the kind of guy
Operatic.
you want to hang out with. You're on his side also in a lot of the film, which is really upsetting, I think, to a spectator, that the film really tricks us in a lot of ways into kind of being on Hannibal's side as opposed to Buffalo Bill, who's, in a lot of ways the real monster of the film.
When he escaped it and killed the guard, he killed him gleefully. He killed him in a way that said, "Oh, I'm out of here, man."
When he
Yeah, he definitely made a big exit. A very big exit.
He's in a cage. He's in the middle of this huge room.
And he's still smart enough to
outsmart the police.
Yep, his guards for sure. Anthony Hopkins did so good.
He's an amazing actor.
Versatile for sure.
He acted very sophisticated and very intelligent for this role.
And I mean, he was supposed to be a psychiatrist, so yeah.
A psychiatrist and a psychopath at the same time.
I know.
You just know that Hannibal Lecter's out there somewhere. He still wants to
those
eat
two
people.
shouldn't go together.
And we saw it at the movies, and I had to go to the bathroom afterwards, and I made him come into the girls' bathroom with me.
I sure thought Hannibal Lecter was going to be in there.
The Shining.
Another Stephen King book.
He made a big list. The Shining is amazing. It was definitely one of those that makes you more afraid of being isolated. It's like a claustrophobia to isolation.
It really, really is. And I'm the type of person, I don't mind being isolated to a certain extent, but I'm very claustrophobic.
And the problem is, and they even warned you at the beginning of the movie to one of the main characters that people usually go crazy in this building once they've been left alone for a while, and that ends up being the case. Is he's gone insane, literally, and he's turned against the family, and the son knows it, and the mom is just in the middle of all this chaos.
I was ahead of other people. I was ahead.
Yeah, because you have like 5 or 6 of them on this list,
Got stoned,
literally.
went to see 2001,
Oh, yeah.
kind of like, oh wow, I was thrilled at the idea.
And he had some great horror ideas, like this would be scary. Your own family turning against each other, and you have no help.
But they always love the Shining.
Especially when he damages your car, he takes away the radio, and you can't really get in contact with anyone else nearby, and it's a snowstorm.
And you're really isolated at that point with somebody who's lost their damn minds.
And your son is kind of checked out.
Yes.
To take care of it.
I felt awful for her, really, I did. A mother dealing with all that would be painful.
Starts to happen.
Most horror pictures, when the scary stuff starts, then they find the phone's out and the miles per hour. Here, we knew that at the beginning.
They're so
Yeah, we knew it again.
And the quiet is what gets to me.
The hotel was given all the space in the frame, and the characters were often quite small within the space. And so you're feeling that.
I've always wanted to visit that area.
You feel
It's so cool looking.
You feel the loneliness, and you feel the sort of weirdness.
Jack Nicholson's son on that tricycle.
On the wooden
The
floor
sound
and
of it
the
is
carpet,
like
and the
deafening
wooden
in a
floor and the
way.
carpet, and just the sound effects there, and it's weird, but it gives you this creepy kind of sensibility.
One of the most terrifying images from that film are the 2 little girls.
Which scare me more than Jack Nicholson with an axe.
Come play with us. Come play with us.
It's something that's been satirized since. But the first time that you see it, it's dreadfully unsettling.
The scariest thing about that movie is the things that are unexplained.
And there's a scene where at the end where Shelley Duvall's running through the hotel and she looks down all these different corridors and she just sees a guy in a bear suit and another guy in a tuxedo.
Yeah, that didn't make no sense to me.
Seriously made no sense.
You don't know what's going on, but you know it's not good.
Yeah, whatever it is not good.
Goes into that room, it's like the
beautiful woman in the bathtub, and he's kissing her, and turns into that hideous woman.
Lady, yeah.
Old woman that had been drowned in the bath.
Know whether the horror that takes place is the product of the hotel or is the product of the Jack Torrance character.
The most frightening part in the movie is where Shelley Duvall goes downstairs and she looks at the novel that Jack Nicholson has been writing all this time.
Yeah, that was the freaky part for me. It basically let you know he was gone a long time ago.
Sure was.
Written over and over and over again on reams and reams of pages in different configurations. What's scary is the look on Shelley Duvall's face.
Yeah,
And it's
the
really
realization
great
sets
acting.
in.
Yeah.
You realize not only that he's going crazy, but how long
he's been
going
crazy.
Yeah, no, he was gone completely.
That
gone.
was the oh crap moment for me in this movie.
Big time. That's the old crap moment for her, too.
And the music along with it just, it set the mood. And you're just like, oh my God, he's been gone so long.
Yep.
He's been insane for a while. We were thinking about it, first thing when he set into this building, he was already at Nod.
Yeah. It didn't take him long.
Nope.
That to me is one of the scariest moments in all of movies.
That's a truly frightening thing to realize that you're living with somebody that you don't even know.
Yeah. And they've been insane. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, one of the good ones as well.
Yes.
It's a great one.
Seriously a good one. And this too is one of those where I don't like to go off into 2s and 3s and all that, and I'm not big on remakes and stuff. They did do okay on some of the remakes and stuff, but just the sheer knowledge that this number one was based off actually Ed Gein, who had, I don't really know why they even based it off him, but the things in the movie with the grave robbing Ed Gein did, making furniture and making things from people from the graves, Ed Gein did that. To, actually Leatherface wearing someone else's face. And then, I mean, everything was creepy about it. I mean, they were out in the middle pretty much of nowhere, and they all... They're needing to get gas, and the gas station is supposedly out, so they end up coming up on this house, and it's just, it does not end very well.
It doesn't end well. It really doesn't
end well at all. And as much as I like this movie, whenever I watch it, I have to actually fast forward through the part where the girl screams for like 10 solid minutes.
Oh my God, it felt like hours, her screaming. You think about it, no one's hearing you. You're in an isolated area with this family that's all psychotic. They're not helping you.
And they're a bunch of cannibals too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really, no.
Under the hills have eyes.
Yeah, exactly. And I have to like fast forward through that part, but I mean, this is really a scary movie, and the part that they have chosen
is the part
the part that they have chosen to be the scariest part for this movie is actually the scariest part, because I remember when I saw it for the first time, I knew
realistic
that was just the final for that guy. I mean, so this definitely belonged near the top.
It is so realistic how he is taken down. It's so realistic.
In the hardware department, my focus from the crowd racked focus into close-up.
See, this is another isolation situation. You're in the middle of nowhere.
What happened was
and this happens.
And chainsaws are freaking scary. I'm sorry. When you go to haunted houses, when they crank the chainsaw up, yeah, everybody's running. I'm going to run and I'm not scared. I just don't like the loud sound of a chainsaw.
I don't like the loud sound. It just hurts my ears so badly. I actually can't hear for like a little bit of a minute.
Yeah, and I can always smell them too. So, yeah. No, if you're going to kill me, please don't kill me with a chainsaw.
Shoot me in the head.
Toby is this quiet, self-effacing, sweet man who is capable of thinking ways that you wouldn't dare think.
One of the things a piece of fiction like Texas Chainsaw Massacre can present to us is that this is the real thing.
Like a snuff movie or a documentary or just some newsreel footage. It didn't feel like a movie.
The most bizarre and brutal series of crimes in America.
Yeah, here's something. Stop.
I saw
I felt so
Texas
bad for the
Chainsaw
guy in the
Massacre
wheelchair.
mostly like this.
That's just an all-around creepy movie. Like, you just feel disgusting.
Yeah, that's like I gotta take a shower.
Yeah.
I think it got banned actually in New Zealand, and it was before the time of video, and there was just no way to see Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But a company in England released it on Super 8. I remember being so affected by it that I watched it, and as soon as it was finished, I wound the reels back and I started it all over again.
This was a movie where it's very much about the killers and what goes on in their world and what happens, and it's so disturbing.
There's
and creepy.
Mochi.
They're at the dinner table every night. You know, they're respecting their
She's so
grandfather.
nosy.
But at the
We
same
should have
time,
named her
they're
Nosy.
eating flesh.
Putting a hammer in Grandpa's
Yeah, Nosy
hand
Mochi.
to try and help him club
She's our
his
new
last
one. She's a
victim
rescue.
is-
We always
it's really
stumble
funny.
on
It's
these
sick,
these
but it's
homeless
really
animals.
We always
Another one
rescue our
we were watching,
babies.
like, are these actors or did he just find crazy people to be in a movie? But boy, these crazy people sure can't act well.
It was shot in daylight, so unconventional. Complete horror.
There's no doubt that the scene where Leatherface just suddenly comes out of that doorway, and it's very naturalistic, and you're kind of getting bored, and you think, come on, what's going to happen? And suddenly, whoom, and bang.
And Leatherface grabs him, just hits him, and there's this
Yeah, that
crack sound, and then boom, you're down.
Yeah, this is definitely the scariest part of this entire movie. Oh, how it sounds. That's realistic. And how...
Yeah. And then he starts seizing. You
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
If you really think about it, your brain is the control center of your body. If you actually hit it.
Yeah.
Oh, that sound. Ooh.
Yeah, it was final.
It was final.
Cave of hell. You don't see anything.
But you think about it, if your brain is hit to a certain degree, it would malfunction like that, and you
the
would
genius
start
of
to
Texas
seize.
Chainsaw Massacre is that it's essentially a bloodless film.
With the top four.
In the shower, and you can't really hear.
Psycho.
Well, actually, not this one. Psycho is a good one.
Psycho's a great
You know, Alfred Hitchcock, awesome movie. Made people scared to take showers.
And who goes to see it for the first time.
Hitchcock said, no one can come in after the movie again. And he had to convince theater owners that this was worth their while to do. And of course, it was an enormously successful device.
Good afternoon. Here we have a quiet little motel.
Psycho was a novel by Robert Bloch. It was based pretty loosely on the real-life case of Wisconsin cannibal killer Ed Gein.
People lived
Yep,
alongside
this one was
Ed
based
Gein
off Ed
for
Gein as
ages,
well.
And then they discovered that he was a necrophiliac. The terrifying monster may be the guy sitting next to you.
I was thinking some horror movies actually are based off of serial killers that are very famous because they're just so bizarre.
Dire, horrible events took place.
This was about severe mother issues. He had a very
Severe mother
controlling
issues.
mother.
Norman!
Yes, Mother?
Who's that girl you're talking to, Norman?
Oh, she's a nice girl, Mom. She's really all you would love her.
She's a whore! A filthy whore!
Some of her clothes are still in this wardrobe.
It's not particularly showy. It was made on the cheap.
All of the people that
Very
worked
cheap. Yeah,
on
the
his
cheap ones made it
television show
good.
were working on the picture.
The idea of killing off the main character of your movie 30 minutes into it, you know, it's so brave.
She's going to be safe. She's a big star.
No. Nope.
You think you see the stabs, you think you see the knife going in the body, you don't. It's
No.
very elliptical. Bernard Herrmann's music. How simple are those violins just sort of like screeching away in the background, but how effective is it?
What the shower scene did was set you up.
The only person that's left for you to relate to is Norman Bates.
Now you think about it, when a person actually does die, when our eyes are like this, very tiny, that's muscles. So you think about it, your eyes would look dilated because you can't. You're not using your muscles anymore. You're dead.
Coming up the stairs.
But I won't comment that.
Yeah, let's don't get too specific.
Terrified for him.
They used a steel for that because otherwise her eyes would have been focusing and not focusing or whatever.
And when he's falling
Well, they
down
actually
the
should have
stairs,
done like
it's so surreal looking.
a dummy with the eyes all dilated. The music just made this movie, I feel.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
See? It's just great music.
And the angles and the camera work was great too, especially him falling down steps like that.
My stomach.
It was a
dropped
great
out.
movie.
the first time I saw it because I felt like I was falling backwards.
Yeah. You see somebody else falling, your brain makes you feel like, I'm falling forward.
It tumbled and fell with a horrible crack.
Every slasher film, no matter how exploitative or cheaply made, has a dark, threatening psychosis. And every psychological thriller, no matter how polished or pretentious, has inside of it a slasher film waiting to get you. And Hitchcock invented them both.
Exorcist. Now, this should have been top of the list.
Yes.
In my opinion.
This should have been number 1. It was not, and the one that is number 1.
I don't think that's a horror movie at all, and
No.
it didn't scare me. It actually made me feel awful for the outcome of the actual thing in life.
Yeah. The Exorcist. This should have been numero one. Nobody has been able to touch this movie. No one has been able to surpass the fear that this movie has instilled in people, and people were so affected by this actually back in the day and are still affected by it. This deserved actually the number 1 slot, but it did not get it.
Especially for how ahead of its time it was, especially with the effects.
And I mean, the scenes.
The scenes, they set the mood with how dark it was.
The actors, all the way down the line. And this is based off several
different possession stories.
Yeah, this is based off several different possession stories made into one.
Anything we had ever seen. We were shocked into terror.
I know people that, as a kid, that adults that went to see that movie and were like in therapy afterwards.
Billy Graham, the evangelist, said that there was an evil hiding in the celluloid itself.
Yeah, no.
That was the one time that I fully felt like this filmmaker has no system of morality or ethics or scruples about what he is going to show, and that's really scary.
It was rough.
It was rough, especially for the time period. You don't see that kind of thing in a movie. It's so violent.
It was. Mom's gonna let me babysit my little brother, so it's just the two of us home alone. Like, let's watch The Exorcist. Yeah, it was good.
Bad idea.
I told my mom that I snuck in to see it, and I think I got in trouble, but I needed to tell her because I wasn't like, I wanted to get grounded, so she would like hover over me a little.
Strangely enough, there's no gore and there is no sex in it, despite the crucifix masturbation sequence.
It's those moments when you think this filmmaker is dangerous. I think it's that sense that this guy is dangerous. He's going to harm me psychically, you know.
It's happening to this little girl who's done nothing wrong, and there's no reason for her to deserve any of this.
Yeah, that's the thing you think about. Demons don't care.
In the world
they don't care. They'd rather take the innocence away and make you feel pain.
Realistic way.
Battle between good and evil and the power.
But I like how it wasn't like, nobody believed them or anything. I like how it was different positions where you saw Damien's perspective, you saw Reagan's perspective and her mom's, and then you also saw from the doctors, and they weren't all scientific completely. They introduced them to the Exorcist type of idea. So I thought that was really interesting, and it was over a long period of time too.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell. That was the worst, the absolute worst.
She started speaking in Italian to the one guy, and he's like, "Mama, no, devil."
And all of a sudden, the green vomit just spits out, and she spits it on a priest.
Dump the holy water in buckets.
I don't
That's what I would have done.
How they did something, The Exorcist. It's like,
It was almost like a
Baby birds, I'll drown you in it.
If the devil possessed somebody.
When she just turns and her eyes change, and I just remember feeling this like,
You didn't see, that's what I expected Demon to look like. It was like, oh my God.
Oh my God, look at what's happening to her head.
Dick Smith, who was one of the great makeup.
You think about it, your body can't really handle a demon.
No.
See, it would start deteriorating, and you get weaker and sickly looking.
That moment when her head spun around, a Hispanic lady stood up from her seat, screaming in Spanish, and ran out of the theater. Never had that happen before in my life. I thought that was just a figure of speech. I was so frightened I considered running out of the theater. It was you're just like hanging on.
Your brain is completely befuddled by it.
When you suspend disbelief like that, when they make you in the moment, that's a great film.
It's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
It shouldn't be above Extras though.
No, and it shouldn't be considered a horror movie either.
It's science fiction. It's action. It's suspenseful. I mean, it's a really good movie.
But it is a really good movie.
It's an addiction to watch.
And those are like my favorite movie.
Science fiction, and it's not science
I
fiction.
guess
It's not the core.
not the four of them, just the first three.
Trilogy?
So before the fourth one, it was a trilogy, but my favorite.
In Alien,
I never
series,
tire
I
of
guess
them.
you say, a series.
I never tire of them.
That's the thing is there was one period of time where she would watch nothing but the Aliens.
All the time.
All the time. I would walk in the living room and I know she's watching the
Movies,
Aliens.
it's that claustrophobic, scary.
If you look at Kubrick's 2001,
I don't even question it either.
white collar space, and then you look at Alien and all the Alien ripoffs, it's blue collar space.
But when we first saw that Giger design for the first time, it was so insane.
Giger's design.
Yeah, that was a cool character.
It was just totally nightmarish. The way Ridley shot it, I couldn't comprehend what it was. I couldn't really see it.
You never saw that.
Yeah, you couldn't see it clearly, and I think that's the scary part.
Oh yeah.
But with Freddy Krueger, it was so dark you couldn't really see him.
Really weird tongues.
It's a very sexual film because it's about people getting violated.
Not really.
It's not a sexual film. People kill me. Okay, the thing that the face huggers that were getting attached to the faces, it was not about the sex. They were laying an egg.
They're parasites.
And they were laying an egg into the chest of a host. And then they were dropping off and they were dying. And some of them, I think somebody even made the comment that, it put his penis down your throat. No, because penises don't lay eggs. So, anyway, I totally disagreed with that statement.
It's penis went into his mouth.
It's a parasite that's laying an egg, and because you have to have a human life in order to give birth to something. So you
and it sort of, I guess, would feed off of you long enough to get to a certain point.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott kind of lures
That's
you
how
in
it
with
worked,
this
really.
naturalistic conversation, and I think there's a naturalistic conversation which feels very much like improv.
It's all normal and
it's all normal, and so it's okay. It's mellow
until the alien bursts out of your coworker's chest.
Yeah, and then it's
with the misdirection.
Oh shit! There's another one. I mean, you think the face hugger's gone? It's dead. Now you have another one.
It goes right to one of the core theories.
Oh no, you just have the big.
And now he's even convulsing there. I like that realism.
I just felt like I had gotten such a sucker punch.
What the hell is going on?
You really don't know what's going on when you see it pop up. And you're like,
Cartwright's face when she gets
what is
sprayed with
this?
blood. I mean, it's real. It was terrifying.
And that wonderful little moment where it goes, before it runs
yeah, I know. It was oddly cute.
And
then it just flies off.
Real. They took something ridiculous and made it very real.
I sat there frozen like this.
You really do. You're just
until it was over, and then I went outside and I threw up everywhere. Alien was the first movie that made me barf. That's why I'd always hold a special place.
Alien was a good one.
And of course, we do not agree with this. We will let you know that the Bravo said that the number one scariest movie moment was from Jaws. We did not agree with that. Jaws is not that type of a horror movie. And I'm not even going to go into explanation about why it's not. And I'm not even going to show you that part either. But this is concluding the 100 scariest movie moments. Obviously, we didn't do all 100 because we haven't seen all 100. But if you haven't done it already, we would like for you to go ahead and subscribe. Where you'll know when our videos come out. And again, tomorrow's actually Halloween, and I'm hoping I can get this out there before Halloween. But if I do, yay. If not, happy Halloween either way. But as always, we'll see you in our next video. So, peace.